Good morning, everyone. Just letting you know that we will begin the program in a few minutes, so please begin to find your seats. Good morning, everyone. Our program will begin in just a minute. Now is the time to find your table, take a seat, pour a cup of coffee, settle in. We will get started in just a minute. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are going to get started in just a minute. All right, I am going to get started. Good morning, and welcome to Fresh Energy's 10th Annual Benefit Breakfast. If you could take your seats, we are about to get started. My name is Shuba Harris, and I am the Chief Equity Policy Officer at Fresh Energy. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm so honored to be part of Fresh Energy's Benefit Breakfast and gather in community with so many partners, friends, and supporters. Communities like this one are truly special and unique. While our approaches to climate and energy policy may differ, we are unified in working towards the same goal, taking on the climate crisis. It's our differences that make us strong. We cannot forget that when things get hard. And this year has been hard for Minnesota's climate and energy community, and communities beyond ours too. In June, one of our state's most visionary political and climate leaders, Representative Melissa Hortman, as well as her husband Mark, were victims of a politically targeted assassination. It would be impossible to overstate the impact that Melissa had on clean energy and climate policy in Minnesota and on Fresh Energy's path as an organization. Like all of you, we feel her absence deeply. Our hearts are also with the family of Senator John Hoffman, his wife Yvette, and daughter Hope, who were also targeted. We are deeply saddened by the ongoing acts of gun violence in our community and across the nation. We hold in our hearts all who are experiencing loss, violence, or displacement across the globe. You've joined us this morning at our benefit breakfast because you, just like all of us at Fresh Energy, believe that Minnesota can and must continue taking bold policy action toward a resilient and just clean energy future. Whether this is your first event with Fresh Energy or you've been plugged in for a while, we are so grateful that you chose to spend the morning with us. I'd also like to welcome the virtual guests from all over the country. We're glad you're here. This year we have a watch party in Grand Marais. Thank you all for joining us. My job as Chief Equity Policy Officer is a new role at Fresh Energy and one that's directly connected to Vision 2030, Fresh Energy's strategic framework, which we debuted at last year's benefit breakfast. My role is one of the ways that Fresh Energy is implementing Vision 2030 and ensuring that we advance equity in all aspects of our work with a focus on centering voices that have been historically left out in energy decision-making. Vision 2030 is the latest chapter in Fresh Energy's nearly 35-year history of helping Minnesota write its clean energy story by taking on the urgent need to reduce carbon emissions and mitigate climate change. In today's fast-warming world, our mission is more vital than ever: to shape and drive bold policy solutions to achieve an equitable, carbon-neutral Minnesota and Midwest. We think of Fresh Energy's work on clean electricity, like the 100% clean electricity law, as our bread and butter. It's what built the organization and where we experienced some of our first major policy wins. And thanks to our decades of leadership on clean electricity policy, Minnesota just hit a major milestone. Electricity sector emissions are down 50% from 2005, putting us halfway putting us halfway to full decarbonization. This stands as our greatest decarbonization success story so far, demonstrating how smart policies and technological innovations can drive meaningful climate progress. But if you're here this morning, you know that Fresh Energy's work goes far beyond electricity. Our deep bench of dedicated clean energy policy experts, many of whom are here today, so please find them and say hello. We're working hard to eliminate emissions everywhere while also making sure the energy transition does not leave anyone behind. In addition to Fresh Energy's work to advance a zero-carbon electric grid, we're working hard to cut emissions from every part of our lives. To meet Minnesota's greenhouse gas emissions targets, we must move on from fossil fuels and decarbonize our buildings, transportation, heavy industry, and agriculture. And Fresh Energy is advancing strong policies on all of these fronts, saving Minnesotans money, creating jobs, supporting healthy communities, and repairing systemic inequities. We're at a time in history where states must lead, and Fresh Energy is helping Minnesota do just that. That's why our work across regulatory venues, at the state legislature, and beyond is so important. And speaking of states leading, that's one of the reasons we're here today, to share and hear stories of clean energy progress happening right here in Minnesota, the opportunities that lie ahead, and most importantly, how Minnesota can keep leading the way. We have a really exciting program for you this morning. I hope when you leave today and head to work or back home, that you feel inspired and energized for our clean energy future. And like you have partners in driving climate progress in Minnesota and beyond. If you're curious about what's in store this morning, check out page 2 of your program. And don't forget to use #FreshBreakfast when posting on social media. Now, before we dive in, I'd like to acknowledge the many current state and local elected and appointed leaders registered to join us this morning. Thank you for being here with us. We appreciate your service and public support of Minnesota's clean energy future. If you could please wave. Thank you also to Fresh Energy's board members. They give so much of their time and expertise to support our mission, and we're deeply grateful for all they do to advance this work. Please wave, board members. I'd also like to recognize Ted Kontag, our 3-time Benefit Breakfast event chair and board member. His leadership in giving back and helping to inspire generosity in the community is so impactful. Thank you, Ted. I'd also like to thank the multitude of businesses and individuals who sponsored and supported this event. Because of their generosity in underwriting our breakfast, all gifts today will go entirely towards Fresh Energy's mission of shaping and driving bold policy solutions. Thank you to all of our Fair of the Future sponsors. We appreciate the support from Great River Energy, who is committed to providing affordable, reliable, cleaner energy to its members. We're grateful for the support of the Minnesota SAF Hub, a first-of-its-kind collaboration working to advance sustainable aviation in our state. And thank you to Spark Fund, which helps utilities put more clean energy onto the grid while increasing reliability and reducing costs for everyone. We're grateful for the partnership and support of our VIP meet and greet sponsors, Elite, Best Buy, Ecolab, Enterprise Energy, Mortenson, and Xcel Energy. We are exceptionally appreciative of all of our sponsors. Without the additional support from our clean energy champion and friends, today's breakfast would not be possible. And we can't forget our table captains. You worked hard to bring people together for this event, and we're grateful for the time you took to invite colleagues, friends, family, and beyond to join us in creating a clean energy future for Minnesota and the Midwest. You are truly making an impact by bringing more passionate supporters to Fresh Energy's work. We also have some match pool sponsors I'd like to recognize. Because of their generosity, every gift today made of $300 or more will be matched, dollar for dollar, up to $232,000. Here's your chance to double your impact, so I challenge the room to max out this matching contribution. And finally, we want to thank our title sponsor, Parable Wealth Partners. They focus on more than finances. They help people use their resources in ways that reflect their values and make a lasting difference. We're grateful for their fresh take on wealth management. Parable helps clients activate their true wealth, wealth that goes beyond dollars and cents. Discover more by watching this video.
Wealth defined by finances alone is limiting. At Parable, we're expanding this story of wealth. Because true wealth is made of more than just dollars and cents. It's in the passions we nurture and grow, and the joy of sharing those gifts with the world. Let's discover a different story together, a story about wealth and all its expressions. Discover more at parablewealth.com.
Thank you again to Parable. A few of you are here this morning. Can you please wave? We are grateful for your ongoing and generous support of Fresh Energy. Lastly, I wanted to remind you that our Fair of the Future will continue until 11 a.m. Out in the lobby are all things electric: vehicles, outdoor equipment, and options for your home, like a heat pump or an induction cooktop, e-bikes, clean energy vendors, and more. Check your program for more details. And now, I'm pleased to welcome to the stage our next speaker, Fresh Energy's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Margaret Cherney-Hendrick. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you, Shuba. Good morning. And welcome again to Fresh Energy's 10th annual benefit breakfast. I can't believe we've been doing this for 10 years. It's amazing. My name is Margaret Cherney-Hendrick, and I am the CEO of Fresh Energy. I'm honored to be hosting you all this morning. You know, I have to say, every year when we're planning this event, we ask ourselves if people really want to trek out here this early in the morning for an event like this. And I say that as someone who has 2 small children and often a rather epic battle to get everyone out of the house in the morning. But clearly, the answer we keep getting is yes. And we are so grateful for that. But in all seriousness, it's extraordinarily heartening to see so many folks who are so passionate about clean energy gathered here today. It's been a very challenging year in so many respects. And I know that I gain so much strength and solace from opportunities like these, when we can come together and take stock of our vibrant, talented, and dedicated community. Now, a lot has changed for me since I've been on this podium. This time last year, I was expecting my second daughter, and I had a different role with Fresh Energy. Flash forward to today, My youngest child is now 9 months old and is the delight of our family, especially her 4-year-old daughter. My wife and I joke that this is our busiest chapter of life yet. And in April, I was honored and humbled to take on the role of CEO with Fresh Energy after spending 7 years with the organization. Thank you. I am so grateful to our staff, board, and donors for putting their faith in me, especially at such a pivotal time in the clean energy transition and in the midst of formidable headwinds. This time last year, Fresh Energy was also excited to announce the rollout of our new strategic plan, Vision 2030. As we wrestle with what it will take to advance the clean energy transition, let me assure you that Fresh Energy is leaning into this challenge. As Shubha mentioned, we are doubling down on our commitment to equity. We are gearing up to take on the hardest to decarbonize sectors of the economy, like heavy industry and agriculture, and we are continuing to lead on smart policy solutions for drawing down emissions in the power, buildings, and transportation sectors. Now is the time to be bold and brave. In its nearly 35 years of operation, Fresh Energy knows well that we've made it through challenging times before and will certainly be navigating challenging times again. But what gives me hope is that in Minnesota, in the words of Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards, we know how to get shit done. But it's true that our community's work, the process of advancing equitable, durable change to establish and grow clean energy markets to combat the very worst impacts of climate change, is hard. It's challenging even in the best of times, and in this moment, we are faced with unprecedented challenges from every direction. The past 9 months have been uniquely difficult for our community. Many of the clean energy incentives and programs that we have worked so hard to establish have been cut, and many more are on the chopping block. We have a federal government determined to give fossil fuels a second life and to erode our fundamental trust in science. And at the same time, vital social services and essential protections for our most vulnerable members of society are under threat. In the basic hierarchy of needs, it is a challenge to keep the fight against climate change at the top of the list. But while the world around us has changed, Fresh Energy has not. In these uncertain times, it is my commitment to you that you can trust that Fresh Energy will not falter in our work. We will not slow down. We will continue to fight to advance a clean energy economy that is good for all Minnesotans. The data-driven and pragmatic approach to change-making that has set us apart for more than 3 decades will remain our touchstone. Our passionate and dedicated staff of scientists, economists, policy analysts, and educators know very well that every fraction of a degree of warming that we can avoid is absolutely critical. Fresh Energy is proud to work alongside our colleagues and our many partners here today to advance and protect climate progress when Washington won't. And while this work may be hard, it has never been more important. It will be our community of practitioners and supporters in this room today that will play a vital role in our story going forward. The clean energy issues that we must tackle next will only get thornier. Today, actions like replacing light bulbs and blowing in insulation, fortunately, are a given, and there's still a lot of this left to do. But what comes next for our clean energy community will be some of the hardest decarbonization challenges our community has faced thus far. Reaching net zero by 2050 will require unmatched investments in the grid, renewables, and technologies for hard to decarbonize sectors of the economy. Along the way, we will have to grapple with complex technological, environmental, and societal challenges, and all at a time when so much remains uncertain in our society. But if history is our guide, we know we can take on these new challenges and win. Over the years, Fresh Energy has worn many hats, working both as an organizational thought leader and also in coalition with partners. The wins are too many to count, but don't forget that in just a few short years, we made Minnesota a clean cars state, began a new regulatory process scrutinizing the natural gas system with the Natural Gas Innovation Act. We made critical updates for energy efficiency policy in the ECO Act. We passed 100% and ensured residential and commercial energy codes are updated. And that's just to name a few. But we can't hesitate, and we must keep being bold. As you will soon hear from our panel of Minnesota thought leaders and changemakers, we need to keep pulling together to create a new playbook for making clean energy and climate progress. And oftentimes, the best avenues for that are at the local level. Now is the moment for us to take hold of our power and not let go. We must keep pushing harder to make outsized impact through our state-based work that other states can look to as a model. Fresh Energy is known for our effective policy and regulatory strategies, proving that local, scalable, and durable advocacy can create measurable emissions reductions. And yes, we and the groups who also work in the energy and climate space at times have different theories of change. But that's what makes us strong. Strength together is something we need right now. And speaking to everyone here this morning, we need your strength too. Your strength as someone who believes in science, believes in climate change, believes in the power of community, and believes we're all in this together. You helped build Fresh Energy into the organization we are today, and we promise you, we are unwavering in our dedication to take on climate change using every tool that we have. You can trust Fresh Energy to stay true to our mission, live our core values, and be a guiding light for climate progress in Minnesota. Thank you. Thank you. Now, as we look to Fresh Energy's past, present, and future, one thing is clear. The work we do is only possible because of leaders across Minnesota and beyond who are pushing clean energy forward in their own communities and industries. This morning, we are extremely fortunate to hear from 3 of those leaders, each bringing a unique perspective on what change looks like on the ground. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to the stage, Bob Blake, Carrie Kirschbaum, and Alex Savelli. Right. Welcome, Bob, Carrie, and Alex. We are delighted to have you this morning. I know I have spoken to so many people already who are just extremely excited about hearing from you guys in particular this morning. So let's jump into the conversation. I wonder, Carrie, if we could start with you. Could you please introduce yourself and walk us through some of the groundbreaking clean energy projects unfolding in Crookston, Minnesota, like the geothermal feasibility study and the solar on schools and public buildings projects?
Yeah, Carrie Kirschbaum. I'm from the city of Crookston. I grew up in Minnesota, was gone for about 30 years, came back in 2010, and realized we had a lot of work to do up in rural Minnesota. And so I started working with City Crookston about 3 years ago, and I had already known John Vaughn, who is now working for Fresh Energy, and we'd been doing some work over on the White Earth Reservation trying to get some solar projects in. And he said, Carrie, we got to do some stuff up in Crookston. So we went to work, and we went to write a MPCA grant with Kate Knuth, and she was kind of our cohort. And during that time, we realized that we didn't have a geothermal study, and it was really hard for rural communities to afford that. So Fresh Energy went to work. They helped us to get a geothermal grant, so we're very excited for that. And we're also working for solar on schools. That's in progress, and we're working on solar on our public buildings to help to offset some of our costs for that. So we're thankful to be here, and I want to say thank you to everybody for inviting us.
Thank you, Carrie. And I know I can speak with confidence when we say it's just been enormously wonderful to partner with you and Crookston on the Empower Crookston work, and also to see, the geothermal planning grants that we worked so hard to pass at the legislature unfold in such a wonderful way. So thanks for being here. Bob, I wonder if we could turn to you next. Could you please introduce yourself and share how Solar Bear and Native Sun are transforming clean energy in both urban and tribal communities across Minnesota?
Yeah, thank you, Margaret. Thank you for having me, and thanks for being here this morning with y'all. It's been great. I can't believe where Solar Bear and Native Sun have come since I started both of these organizations. So Solar Bear doing the solar projects in tribal communities. It's always amazing when I hear the kids, or I hear someone from the community say, would they want to meet Solar Bear? and so I'm like, well, it's so I have to get a Solar Bear costume now, actually. The kids, just the excitement that they feel, and I've always felt like if we're taking this journey, it wouldn't be right if we took it and we didn't bring the kids along with us. So, so that's been really exciting. In working on the Solar Cub project, which is K-12 education curriculum, with the kids. And then Native Sun doing the charging station, the Electric Nation project, connecting tribal nations in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And that whole idea came from while we were protesting Line 3. We thought, well, if they're going to build oil pipelines, we're going to build an electric vehicle charging station pipeline, And we thought to ourselves, this will just be another form of native resistance. But it's been all that work, workforce development, demonstration projects, and of course education and policy. So it's been a really good ride.
It's fantastic. And I should say, we are also so grateful to you, Bob, for your leadership on our board of directors at Fresh Energy as well. So thank you. Alex, I'm going to turn to you next. Could you please introduce yourself and give us a little bit of an overview at what Accelera by Cummins is doing in green hydrogen, particularly with the electrolyzer department? And I know these are big words, and maybe we can unpack them as well, green hydrogen and electrolyzers.
All right, I'll try my best. Good morning, all. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for the invite. My name is Alex Savelli, and I lead the commercial team globally for Cummins electrolyzer team, and that's under the Accelera name. So I think most of you probably know Cummins from its core business. We do a lot of diesel, natural gas engines and gensets, and continue to work on reducing the impact that has in the environment. But not a lot of people know about Accelera. And Accelera is basically the division of Cummins that focus 100% on zero emission solutions. So our main goal is to actually develop those solutions and actually fast track their adoption, right? That includes things like batteries, electrified powertrains, fuel cells, and electrolyzers, which I'm part of. Just if I could get a show of hands, how many people know what an electrolyzer is? Where is you? All right, I'm actually speaking to the right crowd here. But if you don't, an electrolyzer is basically a machine that splits water into hydrogen and oxygen using electricity. And if the electricity is renewable electricity, you can create green hydrogen. And then with that green hydrogen, you can actually decarbonize quite a few of the hard-to-abate processes and industries that Margaret mentioned, right? So we have been focused on it. We have, over the last 2 to 3 years, booked quite a bit of firm orders. And to the point that we made a decision to start manufacturing electrolyzers in Minnesota back and actually turned the first range in April 23. We were honored to actually receive President Biden at the factory here. And then since then, we have produced quite a bit of equipment and deployed almost 200 megawatts of electrolyzer plants that today are producing 80 tons of green hydrogen, helping decarbonize those projects. So.
Fantastic. So Bob, back to you. With federal policy shifting, what are you observing now in the solar sector? I know I have recently come to know the term solar coaster, and I wonder if that applies here. So how are you adapting strategies, especially for work in native and rural settings?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's a race to the door right now, right? Everyone, residential is this year, commercials next year. EV tax credits are today. I think everybody's just trying to get in while they can. I firmly believe, this is a blip on the radar, and this too shall pass. In saying that, I think that, what we do now and what I'm seeing, especially in tribal and rural settings, is, let's start planning. I think there was like $75 billion that went back because the loans weren't being made out to tribal country from the Department of Energy Loan Programs Office. What that tells me is that, tribal communities, this takes a lot of planning for you solar developers out here. You guys know that this takes a lot of planning. This takes a lot of upfront work. And so I think what this is going to be able to do for us is that, especially in tribal communities, is that we're going to be able to start planning, we're going to start developing, we're going to start putting together our workforce. I see more and more plans. When I first started creating the Tribal Utility Authority with Baker Tilly, there was 6 tribes. Last I heard from there was like 90. So, I mean, that's really, when you start thinking about all the opportunities that are coming along with this, but we got to be ready for them. And I think that that's where tribal communities, rural communities can start now getting their plan together. And so that's what I see, and that's where I see the opportunity right now for both tribal and rural communities.
That's great. That really resonates, I think, with some of Fresh Energy's approaches of late. And I know many partners in this room today. Let's get organized, build power, and make sure that we're ready for when the next opportunity presents itself. And why don't we create those opportunities while we're at it? So Carrie, I'm really interested to hear how some of the projects are improving life in Crookston that you mentioned. And why does this type of rural-driven initiative matter so much in clean energy's landscape here in Minnesota?
I think before I really get into that, I want to just acknowledge what Bob just said about our tribal communities and the training that's happening there. I believe that's going to be a huge workforce that's going to be able to reach our different rural areas right now. So I really appreciate all the work that you're doing on that. In Crookston, we started in Empower Crookston when we started to write this grant, and we started going door to door, and you'll see, that's my city you see up there, and there's Taylor and I, my Empower Crookston. Empower Crookston isn't my department. It ended up to be a lot of the college people came together, Fresh Energy, Otter Tail, everybody came together to work on, we were all looking at the IIJA and the IRA, and we're all on board, and we're in all these seminars and webinars, and trying to make sure that we are positioning and training our community properly, and then the shift happened. So now we meet every morning at 10 o'clock, we have our Monday morning at 10, and we have between 10 and 20 people, depending on the project we're working on. We're all together, but we realized that our communities needed to be educated. So we started going door to door. You'll see our basketball team came out, and John Vaughn took them out, and we started to go out and did tons of surveys out there, listening to the community and partnering with the community. And I would say to anybody who's interested in this, you are your champion for your community. You are the champion for a town of 200. I was a mayor of a town of 200 for 8 years. Not a big deal, but it is a big deal, right? Because those people matter, and it's rural Minnesota, and we feed the world from our area. but we still need to be able to train our people and to prepare them for our future. So we're working on weatherizing our houses, and we did get some grants on that. We just kept working forward. We got a small cities development grant. Everything that we started over the last couple of years, we just kept moving forward based on the relationships we'd established, and everybody just talking together every week to say what is out there that we can help our community do. So we're working on getting the new roofs, the windows, and that type of stuff, and we just kept moving forward, but it was based on the relationships. Your relationships will open up to projects. And so I think if you just stay strong, stay honest in your relationships, those projects are going to open up, and we'll keep moving forward on this. It's a blip.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate your optimism, and it's wonderful to see this scale of investment in communities that are outside the metro area who often are overlooked. And so I think being able to demonstrate this progress there is instrumental to being able to bring the whole state along with us on this. So Alex, back to you. Green hydrogen often feels abstract, so you've broken it down a little bit for us right now, but why does it matter, and how does it contribute to the clean energy transition?
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's really interesting. If you think about all that we need to do to help the world decarbonize, electrification will help quite a bit, right? Probably with the bulk of it, but there is that final 15, 20% stretch and mile, which is really these hard to do, hard to abate industries, whether it's steel production, cement, glass, refining oil, producing fertilizers that we need for agriculture, here in Minnesota. Even like for semiconductors that is so popular these days, you also need hydrogen, right? And if you were trying to electrify those, hard to abate processes, it would be like very costly. It wouldn't be feasible, right? So I think this is a good example of a plant in a project that we did in Florida, with Florida Power and Light, where we're actually producing green hydrogen with solar at their plant there. And they're actually using that hydrogen to blend in the combined cycle turbines that they actually have on site to actually decarbonize, basically power generation, right? It's just a pilot project for now, but their vision over time is that by 2045, 2050, they will run that on a, close to 100% blend, So that's just one example. But there are many other, examples. And you probably saw on the first slide, as I was introducing myself, we landed many different projects in different industries, whether it's with, on the chemical side of things, to produce chemicals that we need for our daily livelihoods. Also, to produce sustainable aviation fuel is another one. And then we also just commissioned our largest plant with Linde in Niagara. That's basically providing support for both industry and mobility. So those are just some examples on why we need hydrogen as part of the solution, green hydrogen.
Yes, thank you. And it's great to hear that Accelera is not slowing down despite the federal headwinds, and you're continuing to build and demonstrate these projects, and we really appreciate that work. So Carrie, back to you. You've alluded to this a bit already, but your work in Crookston brings together city government, university partners, fresh energy, utilities, and residents. How have you navigated those relationships? It's a lot of folks coming from a lot of different perspectives. And what can we learn from you in this regard?
I think that we started out with just working when John said, hey, there's a grant out there, carbon reduction. And I said, okay, well, let's start looking at this. And as we started coming together, we started to realize how much people really care about their communities. And I think that common denominator of caring about your community, caring about your generations, was the thing that got us all started. So as we were writing the grants, pretty soon we were working with Fresh Energy, we were working with CERTS, the Clean Energy Research Team, from the college, the Regional Sustainable Development Team, and people just started lining up. Ottertail came in, and we've now had different cities have joined us. We went door to door. This is the basketball team that was out there going door to door in Crookston, and they had such a great time, and we were able to make a donation. Fresh Energy made a donation to the basketball team for their efforts to help us to do surveys. But bridging the generation gap of taking the young people who are energized and they have a lot more education about what's happening, and then trying to how do you help a farmer on the farm who's probably never even turned on, he's so busy working in the field that the TV doesn't get turned on to know what's going on. So we have really created a bridge and an energy that has been like open communication, a lot of dialogue, a lot of teaching, and then like even the geothermal thing is happening. We continue to work with the city of Mahnomen. We're working on tree inventories and making sure we have tree canopies and giving our trails in. So we're taking a holistic approach, working with everybody from MnDOT to the city council. And you know, we have the naysayers. But if you keep your personality good and you just keep working on common sense solutions, pretty soon even a Norwegian can say okay.
Thanks, Carrie. So Alex, back to you again. The hydrogen space is rapidly evolving, as you've already told us, but this progress will also be impacted by shifting federal policies. I'm thinking about the 45V tax production credit that is going away. At this moment, what innovations are most promising on the horizon, and how is Accelera collaborating to scale those solutions in meaningful ways?
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, for the industry in general to get established and green hydrogen take hold, I mean, you do need, you know, the right policies in place and with the right continuity, right? A lot of these plants are big investment, and you need certainty around that. So I think the way we think about, you know, as was mentioned here, it's probably a blip we're going through. We like to think about this, it's a marathon, you know, we're not sprinting, and we're really dedicated and focused on this over the long term, right? So we're really focused on the things we can control. And the part that we can control is to help create, you know, equipment that is more modular, that's more standardized, that we can actually both produce in, you know, larger quantities, as we're doing here in Fridley, creating jobs here in Minnesota, and then can also service well in the field, and really trying to bring costs down and scale up the business. I think the plant you see there is a good example of a 100 megawatt plant that we're in the process of working with BP to actually build in Germany, where you do have the right, you know, both the carrot and stick incentives. But that's a good example of a plant in itself. It would generate 40 tons of green hydrogen a day, and we'll be able, you know, basically used to desulfurize fuel, so you can actually use that with, you know, clean modern engines, right? So I think just staying focused on the things that we control, and especially these earlier projects, it's really important that we prove them out, and so that people can get more experience and we can get learnings, so that, you know, as we go step by step, we'll be able to build larger plants and produce even more green hydrogen to help decarbonize, you know, what the world needs.
Great, thank you. And Bob, your model is also community powered, spanning solar, electric school buses, charging infrastructure, and more, as you mentioned. How are you building trust and ensuring these projects serve community needs equitably?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think a lot of it is just like reaching out to the community early and getting them involved. I was like to, this is gonna sound a little funny, but I always like to pay some aunties to cook fry bread. And I'm very serious about this, everyone. But hold on, listen. But you know, paying these aunties to make fry bread, Indian tacos. Now, okay, here's the thing. Now, what natives like to do is we like to get together and we like to like socialize around food, and like just like a lot of us do, right? Like we're doing here today. But like we love our Indian tacos and fry bread, and so I always like to pay the aunties to cook some fry bread, and then, you know, you get up there and then Bob does his spiel, right? Then I kind of, you know, move around and start talking to everybody, and, you know, kind of getting them involved and start answering their questions, and so, you know, that's really how like I start to like doing it. And then it's more like, okay, how do we focus in on the different areas of the community that's going to, whether it be the Red Lake Agriculture Department, whether it be the college out in Sitting Bull and Standing Rock, you know, whether it be, you know, the McGeezy right here that was featured on the Democratic National Convention, that project right there. So it's just really just working with the community early, getting everybody involved, getting the stakeholders at the table, and then just really, you know, trying to just break bread really honestly with them, and just let them know that, you know, you come with a good heart. That's what we like to say in the Native community. I come with a good heart, and that's really what I try and do with when I'm implementing like you said, Margaret, all these different types of projects that I'm involved in.
Oh, I appreciate that, and I think sometimes that gets lost, and we talk about the technical aspects of the clean energy transition, we talk about the scientific pieces around drawing carbon emissions down, but really this is about people, this is about bringing people together, realizing we have more in common than not, and building power through community, and whether it's breaking bread or growing markets so that your job is tied to the clean energy transition. That depoliticizes something that, unfortunately has become very political. So just really appreciate the work that you guys are all doing to socialize these concepts and bring folks together. So before we conclude, I'd like to hear one last final thought from each of you. Let's start with Alex. So if you had a crystal ball, what role will green hydrogen play over the next decade? And what gives you hope about our ability to meet clean energy goals, especially in these hard to tackle sectors that you've been talking about, like heavy industry?
Yeah, so I think the first realization is probably it's not only a decade, it will take decades, right? And I think the way we need to think about it's 20, 30, 40, 50, even into the 60s. I am very confident hydrogen will play a very significant role. It probably will take a little bit of time to take hold, especially less carbon intensive types of hydrogen. But I know that we definitely have the right technology, and we're developing the right technology to make this a reality. And we're going to continue to improve on that to drive costs down. But we will need continued support and the right policies in place to make sure that we go from strength to strength, right? But again, we probably need to calibrate the mindset. This is a marathon, and we need to start the work today and just be relentless at it, right?
We appreciate your endurance, and we share the optimism around finding low and zero carbon fuels to decarbonize areas of the economy that won't be decarbonized through electrification. So thank you. Carrie, what sustains you in this work day to day, and what keeps you hopeful about the future of clean energy in Minnesota?
The next generation keeps me really hopeful. I think about, I hired Taylor Wyam, she's my project coordinator, and she has got a fireball of energy around this whole subject content. And I maybe would have as much energy, but I actually brought a hybrid car because of her, She is just being encouraged by her, but honoring the experience and honoring your older generation, but then marrying that to the next generation and just keeping that energy going to me is so important. And I think that at the end of the day, when we look at all of our different communities, and we're in a more impoverished area right now, and knowing that you're helping people get their bills down, clean their homes up, have healthy lives, healthy homes, it's exciting, and that just makes it all work for me. And then seeing that extra basketball team out there and those guys having such a good time, that was like the kiss on the whole year for me, that particular project.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And Bob, let's end on a hopeful note here. So what possibilities in clean energy are you most excited about for the future?
Oh boy, obviously the technological advances that is happening. It's Moore's Law. Every 2 years it gets better, cheaper, faster. I think that's what's happening with our renewable energy. Boy, I tell you what, the youth. I mean, Gway Gaskell, White Earth Nation. The young kids that are finding inspiration in Solar Bear, the Ezra Wells, Prairie Island Indian Community, in Sarah La Valley, Turtle Mountain, Band of Ojibwe. These three young people have been able to, I guess, act as a mentor to, because I've had mentors, help me. And so passing that knowledge on to them, but seeing their excitement, seeing their enthusiasm around this work just makes me happy to no end.
Thank you. Thank you three for a very inspiring conversation and for your dedication and work in our community. It's your work that reminds us that progress isn't just possible, it is happening right now. Please join me in giving a very warm thank you to our big panel here. Let's end with a round of applause. Thank you.
huge thank you to Carrie, Bob, and Alex for sharing your insights with us this morning. Your leadership is helping shape the clean energy future, and we're grateful for the vision you shared. At Fresh Energy, we believe equitable energy policy is essential. Everyone is affected by the energy system, but not everyone has a voice in shaping it. My work is about making sure underrepresented communities have a seat at the table in Minnesota's clean energy transition. And speaking of why this matters, my husband and 2 daughters are here today. Our oldest is 18 and will start college next fall, and our youngest daughter is 15. So much of what I do is about creating a beautiful and just world where they and everyone can thrive. Most recently, I had the chance to work with more than 25 community-based organizations to create the nation's first program that provides automatic energy bill assistance for low-income households. The video you're about to see shares that story and highlights our partners at Sabathani Community Center, Community Action Partnership of Ramsey and Washington Counties, and Xcel Energy. Let's watch now.
Minnesota has done a great job of making energy cleaner and cleaner, keeping it affordable, keeping it reliable. We're going to continue on that path. But we also recognize that energy is not equally affordable to everyone. Some folks have a higher, what we call energy burden.
Many people that are low income have to make choices, difficult choices about where to spend their money. They're often choosing between spending money on groceries, on rent, on medical expenses, on childcare. Those are really difficult and unfortunate decisions that people shouldn't have to make.
Having utilities is just a basic human right. It's a basic human need. You can't live without it. People need it.
We want energy to be affordable and reliable and increasingly clean for everyone.
Fresh Energy is a nonprofit organization that works to advance clean energy policies that will achieve a carbon-neutral economy. One of our jobs at Fresh Energy is to hold utilities accountable to Minnesota's clean energy future.
The auto bill credit is specifically designed to address energy burden, to look at those geographic areas within Xcel's service territory where energy burden tends to be higher.
It is saying we know that you have a low income and that you have a high energy bill, and we are going to, without you having to do anything else, without making you go through an application process, so we are going to provide this benefit to you directly. This program is the first of its kind in the nation. The process that led to the development was a series of meetings, ideating with community leaders that represent community members to better understand what the priorities were on how to create more equitable energy policy. We knew that Sabathani was an important choice.
Sabathani Community Center is the heart of South Minneapolis. Our mission is to provide people of all ages and cultures with essential resources that inspire them to improve their life and build a thriving community, and we've been doing that for 60 years now. We talk so often here at Sabathani around building generational wealth. They can take that money and start building a brighter future for not only for themselves, but for their children, right?
So the idea for the auto bill credit came out of a group that was designed to broaden participation, build trust, talk about the hard things. More than 25 groups signed on to the petition.
It wasn't Xcel telling us, what to do and how to do it. It was the community and Xcel working together.
A lot of the conversations in the stakeholder group focused around the 80% of customers that were not receiving energy assistance. Is there a way that we can reach those customers? And there is a way to solve the problem. We designed a way. We know geographically where there are people with low incomes and high energy burdens. We can use that information to make people's lives better.
Even if they apply, if they don't have everything, they won't get the assistance. So the ABC credit is totally different. You don't have to apply.
The households were chosen using a mapping tool that Xcel Energy developed that shows where there are areas of poverty in the state. And those areas that have a very low income were the areas that were targeted to receive the bill credit.
They're going to automatically get that credit. And so it's just a win-win. We talked to some households who received that benefit. Getting that automatic bill credit just changed her life. It allowed her to be able to budget. It allowed her to be able to get her grandson, actually, a pair of gym shoes this month because she knew she was getting this credit. She said being able to have a bill every month that's affordable means she can pay it consistently and on time, and that's going to get reported out to the credit bureau, which is going to help her in the long run have a good credit score and be able to, get a car or get housing later on down the road.
And what I can tell you is that we're going to see folks being able to keep their energy on, right? Going to be able to start to save money and then start to look at different ways that they can spend that money. Put money aside to build some generational wealth, to pay for education for their children. It means that people in our community have access to options.
In this pilot, we have 17,000 customers who are now getting bill credits. As we move to invest in more and more renewable energy, carbon-free electricity, working to decarbonize the natural gas system, Fresh Energy has been a really key ally both at the legislature and at the Public Utilities Commission.
It's important for Sabathani to have partners like Fresh Energy. We couldn't do it alone. Whether getting that access to legislators, to folks who are doing this work, it was important to have folks like Fresh Energy walk alongside us.
Fresh Energy is a leader at the Public Utilities Commission and the state legislature on clean energy. And when you support Fresh Energy, you are getting experts that understand the clean energy landscape, understand the goal of creating an equitable clean energy transition, and supporting people that are involved in programs like this. I spend a lot of time talking to other utilities and stakeholders around the country about how to deliver energy assistance and how to make energy policy more equitable. And when I talk about this automatic bill credit, people are wowed. It feels like we are really leading on the country in how to deliver energy assistance.
Fresh Energy advocates on behalf of people who need their voice heard, and it amplifies the voice of people who don't even know that they need their voices heard. They have a real way of knowing what is happening in the community, knowing what people need, and knowing how to advocate on behalf of those people. I'm glad to be able to work with them, and I'm glad that they exist in Minnesota.
Thank you to Nick Martin, Sandra Piles, and Scott Redd for your work on this pilot and for participating in this video. Can you please stand and wave? Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Fresh Energy Power Circle donor, Kathy Iverson. She, along with her husband, Mike Menzel, is a longtime supporter of Fresh Energy and is passionate about fighting climate change. With a career in public health and community advocacy, Kathy has helped advance clean air policy and continues to volunteer with organizations focused on climate and health. Welcome, Kathy.
My name is Kathy Iverson, and I am a passionate advocate for clean energy. Why? I was inspired when President Jimmy Carter installed solar panels on the White House back in 1978. He modeled clean energy efficiency. Do you remember the wool sweater and turning down the thermostat? We knew way back then that we needed to change our energy systems and reduce carbon in the atmosphere. So in light of everything past and present, I'm looking out at all of you, and I know we have the courage to keep moving forward. We can do this, especially with the tremendous staff and expertise of Fresh Energy, including Margaret Cherney-Hendricks, Fresh Energy's new leader. And all of you are part of this successful team. We know the path forward. Fresh Energy is modeling the energy future, building the partnerships to make it real, and delivering solutions that create jobs, save money, and reduce emissions. So rather than listing off more accomplishments myself, I thought it would be more fun to share them with the help of my neighborhood kids, my very own cheer team. Here's a little video we made together.
Hey kids, there are 4 ways that Minnesota has given you a brighter future with clean energy.
What are they?
Number 1, 53% of the state's electricity came from carbon-free sources in 2024. $10.3 billion is getting invested in the Midwest grid, enabling thousands of megawatts of new renewables and creating nearly 230,000 jobs. Yay! Number 3, battery storage has made big gains in Minnesota. The Snowshoe Energy Project was recently given the go-ahead by the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. This standalone energy storage facility can collect surplus energy from the grid and release it back when needed. Yay! Number 4, a big win at the legislature was the Minnesota Energy Infrastructure Permitting Act that is key to speeding up clean energy and transmission deployment in Minnesota. Yay! What organization helped achieve these accomplishments? Fresh Energy!
Wasn't that cute? My cheer team was celebrating just a few of the ways Minnesota is leading on clean energy. Thanks in no small part to Fresh Energy's expertise and relationships. And this gets to what really fuels my passion, the future I'm leaving for those smiling faces you just saw, and for my 7 grandchildren. I want them to live in a Minnesota with clean air, safe communities, and opportunities in a thriving clean energy economy. When I think about their future and what they will experience growing up, I know we have to keep moving forward. In fact, kids today are thinking about this as much as we are. Before heading off to college this fall, my granddaughter told me she wasn't sure there would be a future for her when she turns 50 because of climate change. That really stuck with me. The next generation is watching us. They're depending on us to do everything that we can to build a brighter tomorrow. We owe it to them to give them everything we've got. And now my favorite part, sharing how my husband Mike Menzel and I committed to Fresh Energy. Besides being Power Circle donors, Mike and I have also included Fresh Energy in our will. It's our way of making sure our commitment continues for our grandchildren and generations to come. So now, I am inviting you to join us in sustaining your legacy for a clean energy future by making an investment in clean energy today. Please make a donation that feels good to you. There is a minimum $150, and that gift, or a gift of any amount, is appreciated and will make a difference. But now we have a match on the table today. If you are able to invest $300 or more, other generous donors will match your gift. Or maybe you have the ability to give $500 or more. Or consider joining the Power Circle with a gift of $1,000, $5,000 or more. These gifts will also be matched. Please make a generous donation, one that is meaningful to you, to strengthen the work of Fresh Energy and carry on to a clean energy future. Table captains, now is the time. Please pass out your pledge cards. And I want to personally thank you all for being part of the Fresh Energy community. We can do this. All right, we'll give you a moment to fill out your pledge cards and make a gift, and Shuba will be back to close our program in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. This is the end of our program. Table captains, please don't forget to drop your packets where you pick them up. Remember, the Fair of the Future is open until 11. We hope you enjoyed this morning, and thank you again so much for coming.
Thank you.